Kira,
Jeff,
what's happening?
how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so happy. I don't know about you or you guys, but I get deeply affected by the weather. And it has been a very gloomy and cold winter here. And I'm so happy that it's like 68 degrees here and blue sky and sunny. And it just brings like life into me once again.
It's nice. Like I think, especially in colder environments. Obviously, when spring comes, you get that feeling. LA, it's just 72 all the time. So we're just like on this. You guys get like the lows and the highs, which I do
Like
miss about
I know I'm
that
not used
actually.
to it. I know it's my first spring here and in the South, and and it was my first winter, so I just forgot. You forget when you leave California, you're like, oh shit, that's right. It gets gloomy and cold and gross here.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, quite the difference contrast of things there. Um, but it's a different environment, as we've discussed before. Kira and I for a while did episodes out here live together in Los Angeles, but now she is in Atlanta and I am here, and we do ours remote. And it's been, I don't know, we've got 10 or 15 episodes now remote, so
Yeah.
it's been a good experience. Um, we are live on a bunch of different networks on our Jeff and Kira live page on Facebook, Twitter. Twitter's getting rid of Periscope. Did you hear about that?
Right, I did. When is the official date?
Well, today I actually need to check this because I think today they canceled the um, Facebook, or they canceled the Periscope Twitter link.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm saying? So like if you go
but who
live,
did and it was I thought Periscope was already kind of going towards the graveyard anyways, right? Who
um,
used it?
Periscope's last day is March 31st.
Hey,
So
by the way, isn't today the day that QAnon and Trump is supposed to be president again? Is it the
yeah,
fourth?
yeah.
Oh,
It apparently didn't.
oh, it didn't happen.
Yeah, I guess something something
Glitchy,
didn't work out with that. Mm.
yeah, glitchy in the matrix, I suppose.
Apparently. But but yes, and it looks like we are live on Twitter, so that's good. Facebook, if you try to share it, have you tried to share that to your homepage? I never understand quite how to do it, but
Uh,
um, it's always an adventure with social media and trying to do that. I'm actually trying to do it right now. While we're live, I'm gonna do this. Let's see if it works. And I think I just did it. Cool.
you gotta. I'm looking forward to the day when everything gets a little bit more consolidated. Do you remember when the internet we had like alt of it? It was like that was when it was the web, you
Yeah.
know? So it was like Web 2.0 or 1.0, where it was like Alta Vista and Excite and Ask Jeeves and
Yahoo had one early
oh
on.
God, AOL. And it was like pick
Yeah.
a search engine and pick an email. And now it's like uh, basically Gmail.
Yeah.
Now the downfall of that is that it's one through one company. And it's like, then you've got this one behemoth company. But at the same time, it's exhausting trying to get through all of these various platforms
Mm-hmm.
that don't talk to one another. Even when we're doing our show, we have to subscribe to Restream, which is a company that handles the streaming out to multiple different platforms
Mm-hmm.
because not each one is obviously it's a different company, but so then each individual company has its own coding, and you in order to do it you'd have to do each one separately. It's crazy. It's
We're
crazy.
going. Yeah, we're going through. For anybody wondering, we're going through Restream, through OBS Studio, and then
Yeah.
out. So we're literally going through two different streaming networks to get everything all together. And there's so much that could go wrong, knock on wood. And so far, it took months to get it set up right, but it is doable. But as you said, it's not easy to do. So anyone wanting to start one of these things, it is, takes a lot more work with OBS and Restream and such than it looks. And
I mean, one day we'll all be streamlined and it'll just go through one pipe instead of 20 different pipes, but we're not, technology hasn't gotten to that point yet. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that goes right into our topic today, is which is about the digitized world. Do you
yeah.
think that I think that we're gonna look back in years to come and remember when all of these social networks were hard to get together online, and you had to go through this complicated process, and all of that in 10 years is gonna look like the olden days. It's gonna look
I
like the
keep
like
laughing. We'll have like the future memes of like, do you remember when you were shadow banned on Instagram?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and that won't even exist. And that's why everyone gets so worked up about it. And it's like, guys, it's all evolving. It's not going to last. Look at MySpace. It's a perfect example, where behemoth, and then all of a sudden that's how the internet is. It changes every single day. And I think that's why I always liked it, because um, no one's an expert.
Hmm.
No one can claim expert of all things digital, because it changes literally every day.
Yeah.
And to be in a community of people where you're all learning together, there's no dumb question,
Hmm.
which is kind of cool, because you don't feel like an idiot. Whereas like if you're a medical doctor, for example, and you're talking about um, we'll say, a surgery that's been conducted for centuries. um, you don't want to be the you know newbie trying to like, oh well, how do you use this instrument? It's not like that. And in the internet and digital world, there are no dumb questions, and it makes me feel good, because then I always feel like, okay, I don't feel like an idiot asking this because nobody knows, or everyone's just learning on the fly.
Yeah. I think that's very true, and I think that it's good that there aren't any dumb questions about it, because, as you said, we're all trying to learn, and it kind of brings into the topic of what we're going to get into today, which is cryptocurrency and NFTs and so on and so forth, and just how the whole everything's going digital, and it takes everyone a bit to wrap their head around everything that's happening, just especially in regards to, like, if you look at what's happening with NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens. You and I were discussing earlier. It's really going to change the way, it's going to change the business. It's going to change art. It's going to change, commerce, and everything really long term. It's going to really affect. And you and I were talking a moment ago to explain. I mean, there's cryptocurrency, and then there's non-fungible tokens, and these non-fungible tokens, from what we've said and come to understand, is you can. And by the way, what we're saying right now looks like Al Roker on the show when somebody in 1985 said, "Can you explain internet to them? Like,
Yes.
can you explain the internet?" And
Yes.
so this is me right now explaining non-fungible tokens. So in 30 years, people can laugh at me like, I think this is what those non-fungible tokens. So you guys can laugh, but wait 30 years and then laugh at this. So
No, it'll be so quick. You'll
yeah,
be laughing about yourself in 6 months. That's how quick this is. It's
yeah,
not as like slow as like web 2.0. And I
yeah,
think to your point, you know, um, all of these terms like blockchain and crypto, anytime I heard the word cryptocurrency, I wanted to like throw up, because I was like, I can't. My
yeah,
brain can only handle so much a day. I can only learn so much. Like I've got all these platforms, and I'm just like, my head is about to explode, and you're going to add in cryptocurrency? Like, no. And I've always been like the majority of people who are like, I don't have time to learn about crypto. It's not really in my mainstream world. It's not changing my world right now. I don't need to learn it. But problem with thinking that way is that you will always be then um, part of the mainstream. Now, if you want to get in on something before it becomes the internet, that would be this time right now. And that's why I've had a couple people reach out to me and said, hey, because I just launched a 3D virtual art gallery, and they're like, "Hey, do you know anything about NFTs? You should really start researching about them and start minting your stuff." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, are you talking in English? Because I don't know anything that you're talking about. NFTs and blockchains." But it's so funny because these terms that we use are very similar to when the internet started, where it's like, what a world wide web and search engines, and I mean all kinds of terms that we were like, oh my god, what is this stuff, you
Back in
know?
the
Whereas
day, they were like automobiles. He's driving one of those automobiles. Like what?
right,
What is
and
that
that's
all
where
about?
and that it takes a little bit. Your brain doesn't want to like, it makes me squirmy to learn something like this new, because I feel very uncomfortable and like almost vulnerable, because I'm like, I want to know everything there is to know about this thing so that I don't sound dumb. But the problem is, this is pre-web
Mm-hmm.
stuff right now, and it's like before the internet hit its boom is where we're at right now in NFTs and all this cryptocurrency stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like, get in now, because in literally, and we're not talking a year from now, we're talking like the future's happening now in
Yeah.
this current moment, um, because you will be left amongst the rest of everyone just trying to learn all these new terms. So
So the best time, and we're all, well, a lot of us are not very well informed on this now. So now is the time to get in. I think is the bottom line, and um, it's good to ask questions. So I think in the most elementary way, the best way to sum this up is NFTs are it's like it's a digital currency in the way where, like, say for example you wanted to buy art or music or real estate. In the fungible world, you have the Mona Lisa, a painting, but in the non-fungible token world, you buy, this is again Al Roker explaining the internet, you buy a piece of the Mona Lisa and you own it digitally, correct? Is that?
yeah, I mean, Grimes, I'm sure everyone knows Grimes. She's an artist. She just sold like $6 million worth of NFTs yesterday, like in an auction yesterday.
Right.
Like the amount of money that's in this stuff is ridiculous. It's
Ridiculous.
it's like complete gold mine. Most of it's probably completely overvalued, but it doesn't really matter because everyone's getting in and just flushing the market full of art. And the cool thing about it is that you own it. So what's the difference between um, owning a piece of art? Let's say you own a Picasso,
Mm-hmm.
or you have a poster of a Picasso. That's very different, right? The poster cost you $20. The Picasso cost you 3 million.
Right.
But you are the only person with that Picasso. You're the only one, because he only made one. He only made one version of that.
Correct.
That it's that scenario on digital, because everything is going to digital. Um, there, that's what an FNT is, or a Nifty,
NFT.
right? Yes.
Yeah, or a nifty. So what is so if how would you put the Mona Lisa, like, as an example though? Like, how does that? So somebody could buy the Mona Lisa through NFT with an NFT, and they would actually own the Mona Lisa, like,
From a digital standpoint, yes.
in
And
the
then,
digital world. Yeah.
correct, which, why does that matter? It's because everything's going digital.
Mm-hmm.
you know, artists, I think it was Kings of Leon, I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Rolling Stone just did a article with them. They're selling their next album, all that it's all going to be an NFT. Christie's just held their auction, and within like 10 minutes, all of the NFTs sold for a ridiculous amount of money. And Christie's, a very old art auction house,
Yeah.
is in it. So this isn't like, oh, it's coming soon. It's like happening right now. And everyone's trying to wrap their head around it exactly. And the things that are most are highly prized right now on the FNTs is like a gaming stuff.
Right.
So crypto kitties is really how NFTs started, and it was people trading and selling these digital kitties, and
Yeah.
they're like $5 million. So like it's, and the thing is, an FNT is like saying a trading card. As a boy, lots of boys buy and trade collectibles,
Yep.
and there will be only one of that, or maybe there's 10 of them. Like sometimes an artist will sell 10 prints, and that's it. After the 10th, there's no more. So it's a rarity. And actually there's you can actually sell things on it's called rarity. You can sell NFTs on rarity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think for people, because it's hard for some people to wrap their minds around it, the way to think of it is kind of it's a digital marketplace, right? It's all of this is in the digital world. So somebody who doesn't know anything about NFTs, like, okay, so they would then own the Mona Lisa as an example. So what about music? How does that work? How do you own music in the digital world as opposed to the physical fungible world? Like, for people that wouldn't know, like, how would you differentiate that? You because you buy a song today, you own a song, right? If you own a song in the digital world, how is that different? Or
So a lot of them, what they're doing, a lot of the artists doing, I know Grimes did it, where she sold $6 million worth of NFT art,
Mhm.
and it was videos. No,
the cats are visiting as always.
perfect timing. They know.
Storm and yeah, they're hanging out. Good.
So she sold $6 million worth of art the other day in one day in an auction, and it was NFT music videos.
Mm-hmm.
The person that bought the music video owns that video, owns it from a digital standpoint, to the point where it's not you can't counterfeit because it's on a blockchain, and because blockchains are able to authenticate it. There's none of this like Napster issue. You remember Napster, where people were like downloading a music song,
Of course.
and then and then the artist was getting so pissed because they weren't getting paid for it.
Right.
And we have that problem all the time, right? So online, if I put an image up, someone could screenshot it, save image, and now they have it on their screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but I'm not getting paid as an artist. I'm not getting paid for them to do that. So then there's this constant starving artist problem. When it comes to FNTs.
And NFTs, right?
Yeah.
NFTs, yeah.
What did I say?
You said F and T.
NFTs, sorry.
Yeah,
NFTs.
Yeah.
There's a whole digital history of every single transaction. So there's no counterfeit whatsoever that can happen, one. Two, when you sell or trade a piece of art or song or anything digital, the artist gets a royalty from it.
Right.
Always. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's game changing for all artists, because now they'll actually be able to not be starving anymore. So in the music industry, this idea of burning CDs and stuff and steal, like that won't even exist.
That'll all go away, because
And the artist will get finally the royalties that they deserve
for every purchase.
For every single purchase. And as an artist, you could come out with one song. Like, let's say you're Paul McCartney and you're going to create one song, and only one person can own that song. And you put it on a blockchain, you mint it, and you put it on, and it's an NFT, and you auction it off. Do you know how much money that thing would go for? A person would own just that song.
They would own that song. Like, wow.
They would be millions, tens of millions of dollars. And that is what's going on.
Yeah.
So Banksy is getting involved. He has a ton of his art, but then people will trade it and then they'll add their own version to stuff. So that's where it's like, or it's a very fluid thing right now, and I am definitely by far not an expert. I myself am just learning about it, and
As am I, like as we all are. I think the best way to see it is that the way to keep thinking about it is the digital world. This is the online world. Like you can buy now real estate. Like you can buy, and people, you think to yourself, well, how do you buy real estate? Because you actually need, somebody saying like you need land. Like if you buy real estate, you buy real estate in the physical world. They're buying real estate in the digital world now. That's going to become a whole world of things. Like
yeah, you remember that what was that game called? I actually played it for a bit. It was kind of fun. It was like a digital world. It's like Sims, but
like
not.
Sim City.
Yeah. No, it's not Sims, but it was something else. I can't remember the name of it, but it's very similar in the sense that, you know, I have a screen in front of me and I have a TV in front of me, and then I have my phone in front of me. This is all screens, and what we put on our screens is art, right? So like, whatever comes up, whatever background you want on your screen or your TV, I mean, it's all going that direction anyways. It's already here,
Right.
So, how cool would it be to showcase your artwork that you bought on your screens? Because that's going to be your digital art gallery.
Yeah, it's incredible, and that's where things are going. And then we have Michael Fontaine and Lee Miller in here, and Michael says Minecraft. Is that the game you were thinking of?
No, not
Sims?
Minecraft.
Not
I'll have to look it up. Hold on.
Okay, cool. He's asking. He mentioned Banksy's.
It came out years and years and years ago, and you fly around to stores and stuff. I remember Nike. Actually, I was working in digital marketing, and Toyota and a lot of the car companies wanted to get involved because they're like, oh, advertising, because it was a digital world where you could buy and sell product. It was weird, but that's kind of
What it
similar.
is.
But NFTs are, yeah.
Wow, yeah. He mentioned Banksy's art sells in that way.
Yeah, and these artists are I mean, it's like a gold rush right now in the NFT world. And as an artist, everyone's just like, oh my God, how do I get in here before it completely goes mainstream? Because right now, nobody understands it enough, and the very few that do are making some serious money.
Nobody else gets it. Yeah.
Billions of dollars are being exchanged on this. And I think the ramifications on this, and if I would encourage anyone that's watching to follow Gary Vee and watch his videos on it, because he's been calling for this for years.
Yeah.
And it's different. It's on the same Ethereum is the chain that it's on. So it's on the same chain as cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is fungible. NFTs are non-fungible. That's the difference. When you buy a Bitcoin, you get a Bitcoin, right? And it's exchange. Non-fungible means you buy something that is the only one of it, or it's the one of 10. That's the difference between fungible and non-fungible. So in any event, I would highly recommend everyone to kind of to watch Gary Vee's videos, because he's been really hot in NFTs, and now he's like, for a while, but now he's really stepped up his kind of rhetoric around it. So is Elon Musk. And now a lot of, I'm in a lot of clubhouse rooms where music managers of like Justin Bieber are in the room asking all of these NFT people like, hey, my artist wants to get in on this right now. What do you recommend? So I'm listening in on like all of these music managers, because if you think about it, you won't need representation.
Right. You won't need that anymore. Yeah.
No, you will not need agents.
Agents are in trouble. Agents and managers and
Yes.
all
So
that.
like, hey, AKA CAA, this
Yeah.
is the end of all of that representation because now the artist can sell directly to the consumer,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, disrupts a lot of stuff.
Changes the
But
whole game.
yeah, and if you think about it, I don't know if Jeff, if you like, those days or months that they have in, hi, honey. I think it's nationally they have where it's like support your local business. It's like Small Business Day,
Yeah.
and they want you to go and like, instead of going to Bed and Bath and Beyond, you go to your local, home goods store. That's like a mom and pop store.
Mm-hmm.
This is that. This is supporting the artist, not the institution,
Which is great.
which is like, oh my fucking God. That's the whole point of like
Yeah.
Burning Man
Yeah.
and, all of that stuff where it takes out the corporate greed and it's an exchange between people now.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking some serious disruption when you're talking like that. And just in the grand schemes of everything going digital, and Gary Vee talks about this, where, um, there won't be a need for the World Bank,
Yeah.
and
It's
what that looks like.
wow.
And the thing is, countries like China and Russia and the U.S. they haven't really gotten their hands around this. I mean, they're just realizing what social media does. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah. It's true. And
They're not equipped to handle the amount of disruption that will happen because they're like big behemoths and they don't have enough time nor resources. So it's like there's people, and how do you avoid taxing? How do you tax on digital assets? I mean,
the whole game is going to be changed
big
in
time.
10,
People are
20
putting up,
years.
yeah.
Finance,
I mean,
commerce, with the digital world, everything is changing.
but it's not like 20 years. We're talking like it's changing right now.
Yeah.
We're just not aware of it. The minute you get into it, you're like, oh my God, this is a whole other world. I mean,
Yeah.
you're like, holy shit, this is matrixy. But
Yeah.
this stuff is happening now. People are making billions of dollars a day by buying and trading things that are like like a digital piece of art, that no other person on planet Earth has,
Right.
and could probably be worth X. Can you imagine a bank owning a Banksy piece of art?
Yeah.
He's putting his, I mean, like, people will pay a ridiculous amount of money for that.
Yeah, and it brings the question, Lee Miller says that, if everything's going to be digitalized, will the physical world even exist anymore?
Well, I have
Like-
almost liken it to like Wall-E. Have you seen the movie Wall-E?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yes, it's great.
It's great, but it's kind of like a sign of the times, right? Where I mean, you've got all these overweight people sitting in their chairs and everything just comes to them. Amazon, that's a perfect example. You don't even have to leave your house.
Yeah.
We're in a pandemic. You think all of a sudden when the pandemic is quote over, which it's never really going to be over because I think COVID's going to be with us. You think it's just everything's going to go back to the way it was? You think everyone's going to go back into working 9 to 5 in office buildings? No. So then all the decorating, all that stuff, there's so much changing and shifting that the physical world will exist, but it won't really matter as much.
I think the pandemic was was like an accelerator in that way. It kind of accelerated the digital world.
And you and I did a show and we talked about that usually during times like this, a pandemic or whatever, there's people cooking something up. Because as we are all sitting and trying to wait for the pandemic to be done, there are people inventing shit as we speak.
Right.
That will come out from the pandemic. And I don't mean vaccines. I mean like the next internet. And NFTs, though they've been around for a bit, is the next internet.
It is.
That is, I mean, when you were making fun of yourself on the Al Roker and how Al Roker's trying to, that video is amazing because it's hilarious because he's like World Wide Web and what does that mean? That is what we're talking about right now with NFTs.
Yeah. Can you explain the internet? That's Al Roker and his broadcast partner. What was her name? But she goes, "Can you explain internet or something?" They were on there talking about it. And yeah, we're doing the same thing with NFTs. So it really is fascinating that all that's going online. Kind of. I know we've got to wind down. We're keeping this one a little bit shorter today, but I wanted to say that there's obviously been a lot happening with that. And there also is this new app which people are getting on. Just in the last 2 minutes, we can mention this. You're on Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse. We're going to start a room eventually with Kira and I talking on Clubhouse, inevitably, once we're across all networks flawlessly. But that's coming. We're going to create a room. What Clubhouse is, if you don't have it or know about it, it's an app where it has basically chat rooms and people can talk on audio. And then we can actually invite you up to the stage and you can get in the discussion too. So it allows a lot of audience interaction. Kira is on is it an alpha female a couple days a week?
Yeah, reformed alpha female. And it's reformed alpha females who love men. But I think we changed the title to, I forgot what it was, she-wolves who love men or something like that. But it's a really cool app. One thing I will mention, though, that I just found out today is that when you create your Clubhouse bio, you can connect your link, you connect your Twitter and your Instagram. And when you're talking and conversing with people, they'll be like, oh, DM me, or whatever. And we're talking some big people. So like I was talking to Whale Shark, who is he owns billions of dollars worth of NFTs, and he lives in China. He's an amazing human being, but he's a very wealthy man in the crypto world. And he's like, oh, just DM me. And I DM'd someone else who has a podcast on NFTs. And then I saw an article today that came out like a week ago saying, if you say the word Clubhouse in a DM, or CH or anything that has to do with Clubhouse in an Instagram message, you will be shadow banned. So apparently Instagram hates Clubhouse.
Why? Well,
I know. It just goes back to the way we started today's episode where I'm like, I'm so over these various platforms that are like, can't say this word because you may be kicked off, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm having to go back into my messages and apologize because I'm like, I'm so sorry. The way I said it, I was like, hey, I heard you speak in the Clubhouse room. And then I read this article saying that both the person and me will get shadow banned by saying the word Clubhouse. And it's like,
I mean, they're doing that on all platforms. We just need to get to a place where, it can be annoying. We need to get to a place where everything is more centralized. As far as everybody having these rules and, it's just a mess. It's just fighting amongst them. Yeah, Michael Fontaine says he's asking about Clubhouse. So some people haven't even heard of Clubhouse. So download the app. We're both on there. Jamie says, what's up, Jamie? He says, man, that grinds my gears. Damn those platforms. Yeah, it's frustrating a lot of people. We need to get
Clubhouse,
that.
I love Clubhouse, to be honest. You do get sucked in because you have really intellectual conversations with like really amazing people.
Yeah.
Like there's like big time people too, or just connecting with another human being on a really interesting topic. And all the rooms are titled and you can just pick whatever room you want to listen into. And it's invite only and it's only on iOS.
Oh, that's right. It's still invite only, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, one thing, just the last thing on it too is, a lot of people have wondered what's the incentive? What is Clubhouse doing differently from a lot of other new apps that have come out? And my summation of it is it does two things really well. It does the audience interaction really well. Nobody's done that as well as Clubhouse was, where people can come up and join and interact. It's only audio, but it's still done so well. And their interface is really well done and really like simplistic, like Apple level simplicity. The designers did a really good job with it. It seems to me those are the two big incentives. It's user friendly, and it's and it's the audience Q&A, the interaction, to be able to come up on the stage, that it does really well. That no, I mean, other apps did that, like Periscope. You could have people come in, and there's a way to do that on all these various apps. But it seems like Clubhouse specializes in that. Would you agree that there's the two things it seems to do
I
well?
would say the third thing would be it's I've been in some rooms where there's like, some people arguing, but it's really actually, I think it's way better than Twitter in the sense that Twitter gets into the mud and it
Yeah.
just turns into like a mudslinging. You don't see that in Clubhouse. It's very respectful and it's a very open dialogue where, I mean, I do rooms with men who are talking about like, all kinds of things that happen in their life and they don't know me and I don't know them, but it's a safe environment in that room. And I'm not saying all rooms are like this, but I'd say I haven't been in a bad room where it's like, oh my God, but you can leave the rooms if you want. And I think it's honestly the next social media. I think this
Clubhouse?
is where social media is going, is this respectful discussion to open up people's perspectives on things.
And well, I would hope so. I think. By the way, did you see? Sorry, it brings my. Alec Baldwin canceled his Twitter account last night. Did you see that?
Well, he said he was canceling it, and then I don't, he keeps going back on it. And
He went on he went on Instagram and said he deactivated it because everybody who's on there is an asshole who got a degree in assholiness.
which is fair because honestly, Twitter used to be the like, oh, you get to like talk back and forth. It's now just like,
Yeah,
it makes my brain hurt. I feel like shit after I'm on Twitter. I have a hard time with Twitter
I
because
love it.
everyone's really pissy
Yeah.
and like they just want to one up. And I think everyone's kind of waning on that like culture. Everyone's a little sick of that shit now.
Hmm.
Clubhouse is the next thing of like, hey, can we just sit down and have a conversation about dating advice or oh my God, they have every topic possible. And you can, I create rooms, you can create a room if you're a member and you talk about whatever. And it's actually really, it's a little bit more higher brow than Twitter is what I would say. And
Yeah.
Twitter hates Clubhouse. They like talk shit about Clubhouse all the time because they're like, oh, they're elitist. And it's like, you know what? It's not such a bad thing to have like decency when you discuss things.
But here's the
Like
thing: Twitter doesn't like it, and a lot of the media people do not like it very much.
yeah, because
Um,
it takes away their own clout as like I'm so and so. It's like nobody cares who you are.
I think
You
it. I think that's part of it, and I think it's that our culture has gone into, especially in media, where it's all about causing the drama and the conflict.
Right.
That's their job, so they want that happening. But a peaceful, good environment with smart interactions isn't good for business.
Right.
Sadly, even though it's what
The
people
other thing
want.
is there's no advertising in Clubhouse.
Right.
It helps individuals.
Yeah.
So you can say, hey guys, I just launched I have met so many amazing people, entrepreneurs, and I mean like some seriously baller people on there that are like so open and so willing to help. And I'm like, my God, thank God humanity's back. We can actually like connect and converse and like connect with people that you'd never have an opportunity to talk with before, be in a room with,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um it's really quite astounding to be honest. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I've had good experiences in it. And by the way, the other platforms, of course, and this is coming. Twitter has Spaces coming now, Twitter Spaces, and the
Right.
other platforms have venues they're creating to compete with Clubhouse. As when Instagram came around, people had to like create stories and such and different they're all competing with each other. So when a new thing comes up, they all get it because they have to stay in the market for that.
Well,
So
what's funny is we only know Instagram stories, but what a lot of people don't realize is they stole that from Snapchat.
right, people
And
forget that
where's,
it was
where's,
originally Snapchat,
where's Snapchat?
and it wasn't it though. The stories were originally on Snapchat
Yes,
before
but
Instagram.
who remembers that and who gives a shit?
Right.
That's the thing. That's why the digital world is so quick that you're like, what? Snapchat was like the be all end all. Now, like, nobody gives a shit anymore because Kendall Jenner basically dug its grave,
Well,
by saying,
it was
Snapchat.
it was Snapchat, and then TikTok kind of took over for
Yep.
Snapchat.
And
Snapchat's
that's
still
why
trying.
when I say, the future's now, it is because digital moves so much quicker than like the evolution of a car, you know? It's like right now things are happening. So, when Al Roker was talking about the internet, we laugh about it today. This will be like, we'll be laughing about this conversation like 6 months from now because that's how quick the world moves in this type of industry.
Yeah, it really is. It's true. And Alicia Shepard says, as we wind down, she says Instagram itself has publicly stated that it has the right to turn on your camera anytime at once in order to record your personal data. Did you know that?
I
It,
wouldn't be surprised.
wow, wow, Alicia, that's interesting. Um, yeah, but it's really interesting where all this is going. The world is being digitized. It's especially commerce and economics and such are led by this crypto and NFTs and such. Crypto's been around how long now? Crypto's been around for what, 10 years,
Oh, I think it's been longer than that. I mean, I know
20
people that
years?
it's been a while, but what's nice about it is it's actually bringing the power back to the people. That's what
Mm-hmm.
NFTs are. It's bringing the power back to people. That's what, when we talk, when, Alicia was saying about Instagram works in a black hole. We have no idea what they're going to do. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
what data is going to be. We feel like we're kind of locked in a cave. We don't know how any of these companies work, and they're just taking our data and collecting it and doing whatever they want with it. Whereas when it comes to crypto and it comes to NFTs and all of this stuff that we're talking about, it puts the power back into the individual. And that is the most disruptive thing this entire world will ever see. I mean, we're talking like Gary Vee says it's like World War III. And I don't mean it in like a disaster way, but none of these countries understand that what is truly happening right now is that we are now, as people of a planet, taking back the power from all these companies that have, that owned us. Now we're doing it all ourselves. We're making our own currency. You can make your own token of your own currency. I mean,
Power to the people. Let's bring
power to
power
the
back to the
people.
individual. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cheers. Well, this was great. I know we both got to jump, keeping it a little shorter today. We'll be back next week. This was episode 56. Thank you guys, Jamie, Alicia, Lee, Michael. We've got some people in here chatting for tuning in. Here at Jeff and Kira Live, we're the future, and the future is Jeff and Kira Live. Kira, anything else in wrapping up, or good to
No,
go?
the kitten is wanting to say hi to everyone because she's all over me.
And tell them her name. So there's Storm
Uh,
and
Storm and Ivy. This one is Storm, and she always likes to say hi to Jeff. I think she misses Jeff. So,
Storm and Ivy. Well, tell them hi. Lee says it was a good episode. Thank you, Lee. We appreciate that. So, we'll be back next week, episode 56.
yes.
Thanks, Kira.
Bye.
See you next week.
All
Later.
right.